Good morning, I'm Mai Rodriguez, sitting in for Mikey Oreta, and you're watching Basis Points, where we dive deep into the numbers and stories that drive our economy and shape our world. The headlines. U.S. stocks dive Wednesday after the Federal Reserve cut interest rates by 0.25 percentage point. A lawmaker says they still have time to make revisions in the proposed national budget for next year, or if President Marcos wants them to do so. And Fitch Ratings warns the ongoing tensions between President Bongbong Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte may affect the country's economic growth prospects. First, let's take a quick look at the financial markets. U.S. stocks plunged Wednesday after the Federal Reserve cut interest rates by 0.25 percentage point, and the central bank's economic projections signaled a slower pace of cuts next year. The S&P 500 was down by a whopping 2.95%, the Nasdaq down by 3.56%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average also fell to 2.58%.
I think the Fed's trying to tell you that we're in an environment, I think, growth's pretty good. I think inflation's going to be higher than expected, and I think they're trying to signal to the market that, things are an environment where they don't want to continue to stoke these kind of animal spirits, if you will, by lowering rates and really adding more risk to the market.
Over in Europe, the FTSE finished almost flat at 0.05%, while France's CAC 40 was up by 0.26%. In the Asia-Pacific, markets are also down. Japan's Nikkei is closed lower by 1.52%. South Korea's Kospi also down by 1.58%. Australia's S&P ASX 200 also down by 1.74%. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump rejects a bipartisan plan to prevent a Christmas-time government shutdown. Trump tells House Speaker Mike Johnson and Republicans to renegotiate a few days before a deadline when federal funding runs out. Trump and his Vice President J.D. Vance slammed the bill for including what they call Democratic priorities. Trump also wants an increase in the U.S. debt limit. Congress's next steps remain unclear. A bipartisan agreement will be needed to pass any spending bill by the House of Representatives, where Republicans have a narrow majority. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is set to announce new rate cuts today. Sujin Kim tells us about the implications of the move.
The central bank is set to announce its much-anticipated policy decision. Economists remain confident that interest rates will once again be lowered for the final cycle of the year. In previous monetary policy cycles, the BSP has adopted a conservative approach, reducing interest rates by only 25 basis points per cycle. Experts anticipate 3 easing cycles next year, with total rate cuts ranging from 50 to 100 basis points for 2025.
BDO House view is 3 to 4 rate cuts, but generally 3 to 4 is very reasonable. Anyway, we're expecting a rate cut tomorrow, diba? Hopefully 25 basis points is the expectation.
So by the end of 2024, we might be able to see 25 to 50. And then it might continue again depending on inflationary figures by January of 2025 and succeeding months.
RCBC chief economist Michael Ricafort believes this year's total rate cuts could surpass expectations.
So it would be measured, it would be gradual. So that's consistent to the previous signaling. Total BSP rate cuts this year estimated to total 75 basis points. So currently 50 basis points, then by tomorrow another 25.
So well, I think it is the BSP may have the room to cut interest rates by at least 2 or 3 more, and I agree that there is room for cutting interest rates because of those 3 considerations. No, inflation forecast is within the target of 2 to 4. Inflation expectations are seem to be well anchored, and 3, there could be some upside risks, but it remains to be seen.
The Philippine Institute for Development Studies explains this is due to inflation being moderately under control.
Well, the Philippines, no, particularly the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, does have the runway to reduce or to relax rates because we're now hovering towards the healthy level of inflation.
Lower interest rates benefit businesses and individuals by making it easier to borrow capital for expansion or upgrades.
From an overall perspective, hopefully, lower interest rate means easier amortization payments for your credit cards, for your housing loans, for your motorcycle, for your car loans. So that should spur also the real estate industry, the transport industry.
Rate cut should be good because of easing inflation. Because that's already the result of higher interest rates for nearly 3 years already since 2022. It slowed down commodity prices. It practically slowed down China even before the trade wars.
Rivera adds the construction and real estate sectors in particular will immediately benefit from this.
Recent statistics have shown that the construction sector has actually slowed down, and this has been particularly driven by high interest rates.
However, Ginigundo highlights that rate cuts combined with reduced reserve requirements could potentially accelerate inflation.
The planned reduction in the reserve requirements that will add additional hundreds of billions of pesos to the monetary system. And therefore, I go back to my not warning or admonition, but I want to raise the red flag that the BSP may have to be more circumspect in terms of avoiding excessive interest rate cuts. Of course, the BSP will not go into that, no? I think BSP is more responsible than that.
Economists say that the BSP may reconsider easing if inflation rises or the peso weakens against the dollar.
I totally agree because they don't want the peso to depreciate too much anyway, right? We want to keep it hopefully in the 58, 59 range. And that is the key because if they bring down rates so much and the peso deteriorates naman, then that's a double-edged sword also.
Sujin Kim, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
House lawmakers say they'd respect the decision of President Bongbong Marcos to delay his signing of the proposed 6.3 trillion national budget for next year. Congressman Raul Angelo Bongalon believes they still have time to make budget revisions if the president wants them to do so.
That will not take 1 day eh. Mabilis lang naman yan eh. So I guess the Senate and the House of Representatives are more than willing to attend if there is a need to reconvene for that purpose.
The budget has been under scrutiny, with the Public Works and Highways Department receiving a massive allocation. The Education Department's funds, though, were slashed, while state insurer PhilHealth got zero subsidy. Finance Chief Ralph Recto says the government plans to limit its foreign borrowings to 10%. It aims to minimize the government's exposure to foreign exchange risk. Gross borrowings are expected to reach 2.57 trillion pesos this year and slightly decrease to 2.55 trillion next year. The government plans to focus more on domestic borrowing with a financing mix of 75% domestic and 25% foreign this year. Recto said the government's long-term plan is to have a 90 to 10 borrowing mix, but he admits this will likely be implemented by the next administration. The government or the Agriculture Department will probe middlemen in the rice industry as prices of the Philippine staple remain high. This report from Bea de la Cruz.
If millers sell rice low but prices at the market remain high, who profited? The Agriculture Department, Bureau of Customs, and lawmakers met with millers to find out why rice is still expensive.
Bigay mo, pero pagdating naman sa palengke, nasa 50, 55. Saan ang problema? Are you telling me? And I don't know kung mag-agree yung mga kasama mo. Ang problema sa retailer? Retailer po ba ang pumapatong ng malaki? Wala na po bang middleman? Retailer galing po sa bodega nyo?
All millers in Bulacan have agreed to sell their rice at the same price.
Pagdating naman po dun sa presyo ng bigas, kami rin po ay hindi ko po alam kung ano po ang costing ng mga retailer, kung bakit sila mataas mag-retail.
The DA asked millers to submit a list of their retailers or wholesalers to know how rice prices are being manipulated and who should be held responsible. They will also give permits to millers so they can sell directly to consumers instead of having to go through middlemen.
Kung pwede mahingi namin ng listahan kung sino mga bumibili sa inyo na wholesaler o retailer. Kasi sa mga sinasabi nyo, sila kayo ang kailangan namin bisitahin at kausapin. Kung na gusto nyo magbenta ng direct sa market, palengke, pwede yun natin gawin yun.
With tariffs for imported rice lowered by 15%, Agriculture Secretary Francisco Laurel says rice prices should go down to 39 pesos per kilo next year. Still way above President Marcos's 25 peso per kilo promise during the campaign, but way lower than the current 60 to 70 pesos per kilo. Bea de la Cruz, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
We're taking a quick break. Stay with us as we dive deep into the numbers and narratives that matter most to your bottom line.
Hello and welcome to Follow the Money. I'm Rain Musngi. Join us as we explore the tools and insights you need to jumpstart your financial journey. The crypto market climbed over $800 billion. Tech giant Alibaba has announced plans to issue notes. Investors are anticipating a significant downward move for the cryptocurrency. Swift is adding a new chapter to her record-breaking year.
Follow the Money, 10:30 a.m.
Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Always on top.
Beauty, health, adventure. This is for you. Join Marie Lozano where she uncovers the untold stories and unexpected surprises in the world of lifestyle.
We wanted to create a space where we could dive into these topics not just by talking to experts, but experiencing the topics firsthand. Let me tell you about the Lifestyle Lab.
On BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
You're watching Basis Points. Trading at the Philippine Stock Exchange began earlier. Let's look at the initial figures. The main index is trading at 63.42 from yesterday's close of 64.69. All the sub-indices are heading south. Financials, holding firms and property, industrial services, mining, and oil. Laggards outnumber advancers 63 and 26 issues. So far, value turnover has reached more than 528 million. Meanwhile, at the foreign exchange market, the peso opened weaker at 59 flat against the dollar from its previous close of 58.99. Fitch Ratings warns the country's economic growth prospects might be affected by the ongoing tensions between its top two leaders. Fitch said domestic political conflicts, which have escalated ahead of next year's midterm polls, could weigh on macroeconomic and fiscal performance. It added that another concern is the incoming administration of President-elect Donald Trump. Fitch said that Trump's looming crackdown on illegal migrants or immigrants could affect remittances from Filipinos there. Fitch Ratings expects the economy to expand by 5.7% in 2024 and 5.9% in 2025. But these forecasts are below the government's targets of 6 to 6.5% this year and 6 to 8% next year. Digital advocates are urging the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas to order e-wallet platforms and banks to impose stricter security protocols against unauthorized transactions. Digital Pinoy's national campaigner Ronald Gustilo says this will prevent people from being victimized by fake online transactions. Maya account holders recently complained of unauthorized transactions after receiving messages from Maya directing them to a fake Maya website. Gustilo said after they logged into the fake website, the customers lost their money. He added that they have received dozens of other complaints. They plan to bring these to concerned government agencies. 3 major infrastructure projects in Cebu and Bohol are officially underway. These facilities aim to boost the region's development. More from Pierre Pastor.
President Bongbong Marcos witnessed today the signing of contracts for the construction of 3 important transportation projects. The first contract is for the construction of the new Cebu International Container Port, or NICICP, in Consolacion, Cebu. This project has been delayed for 20 years. Finally, its construction will begin after the NEDA board gave approval to the project. Funded by the Export-Import Bank of Korea, or KEXIM, this 16.9 billion pesos project aims to lessen congestion at the existing Cebu-based port. This will also improve cargo handling and lower logistic cost. This project will also include a 1,365-meter access road and a 300-meter offshore bridge. It is targeted to be completed in 2027.
Once completed, this will not only make goods more affordable, but will also generate thousands of jobs for our people. Apart from this, it will also create more opportunities for everyone, as it will provide increased space for port activities.
Second, an expression of interest for the Cebu Bus Rapid Transit, or CBRT system, is signed with the International Finance Corporation (IFC) of the World Bank Group to assist in identifying a qualified operator for the CBRT system. This 35 kilometers bus rapid transit features a 17 kilometers trunk service, 22 stations, and a capacity to accommodate up to 164,000 passengers daily once fully operational. And third, a public-private partnership agreement was also signed for the modernization of the Bohol-Panglao Airport that will involve a new passenger terminal and upgrade facilities, increasing its capacity to 3.9 million passengers yearly.
As the country's first eco-airport, it features an environmentally sustainable structure and green technology built to the highest international standards. Like other airport development projects, Bohol Airport's transformation is seen to promote regional growth, generate jobs and livelihood, and create investment opportunities.
We are going to make these things happen. How we can change things for the better and ensure that progress reaches every corner of our country.
There are also plans for the new Dumaguete and new Siargao airports. The World Bank International Finance Corporation will provide support for the documentary and bidding process. These initiatives follow the successful transfer of operations and management of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport to New NAIA Infrastructure Corporation and the Laguindingan Airport to Aboitiz Infra Capital. Pierre Pastor, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
We're taking another breather. Basis points. We'll be right back.
Ciao, mabuhay. You are watching The Word Exposed.
Prepare our hearts as we dive deeper into our faith and receive the strength from God's Word. Join Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle as he shares the reflection we need for the rest of the week.
We pray that the Word of God would find fulfillment in your life and His blessings be always upon you.
Every Sunday, 7 a.m. with replays at 3 p.m.
You're still watching Basis Points. Mary Jane Veloso appeals to President Bongbong Marcos to grant her pardon. Her harrowing ordeal from a drug trafficking conviction in Indonesia might be over, but she will continue serving her sentence in the country. Francis Falve reports.
Mary Jane Veloso still can't believe it. After almost 15 years, she finally returned to the Philippines. Her mother, siblings, and 2 sons were supposed to welcome her at the airport, but they were not given the opportunity. From the airport, Mary Jane was immediately transported to the Correctional Institution for Women in Mandaluyong. The journey from NAIA took over an hour. At CIW, her 2 sons, now grown, finally embraced and kissed her, a moment they had waited more than a decade to experience. Mary Jane was also delighted by the flowers her loved ones gave her. The reunion with her siblings and parents was full of emotions, with her father nearly fainting due to a spike in his blood sugar. They were given a chance to bond privately as a family while officials faced the media. According to DOJ Undersecretary Raul Vasquez, Mary Jane's return to the Philippines before Christmas is a gift for both the nation and Mary Jane herself. It also signifies the strong diplomatic relationship between Indonesia and the Philippines. Aside from Mary Jane, Indonesia also repatriated 9 Australians who were imprisoned in 2005 for smuggling heroin in Bali. Jakarta confirmed that all individuals involved in the so-called Bali 9 are now back in Australia. However, Vasquez clarified that the agreement between Australia and Indonesia differs from the one the Philippines negotiated, which paved the way for Mary Jane's return.
The agreement between Australia and Indonesia, that was crafted between the two of them. So kung ganun ang naging usapan nila, hindi ko naman natin nakita yung kabuuan ng agreement nila. Basta sa atin, tayo po ay tumatayo at tayo hindi tumatalikod sa obligasyon natin ayon sa agreement na yan ng pinirmahan natin sa Indonesia. We have to count our blessings. Number 1, we were able to reduce a death sentence to life. Second, we were able to bring her back with us. Third, and bringing her back to us means na she would be subjected to all the rights, privileges of a person deprived of liberty, including possible executive clemency.
The request for reprieve in Mary Jane's case started during the administration of former President Noynoy Aquino. Under President Duterte's administration, however, the government left Mary Jane's fate in Indonesia's hands. It was only under President Bongbong Marcos that her case was appealed again, leading to her return to the Philippines. Now, Mary Jane is hoping for another wish to be granted. Mary Jane's mother, Celia Veloso, also made a saying it would complete their joy this Christmas.
Magulang din siyang katulad ko. Maintindihan niya ako na sana naman ibigay na niya pardon, clemency kay Mary Jane.
Outside the Bureau of Corrections, Mary Jane supporters staged a protest calling for her pardon, asserting that she is a victim of human trafficking. According to Bucor, they will review whether Mary Jane's good conduct time allowance can be applied to secure her freedom. For the time being, the authority to grant presidential pardons remain solely at the discretion of the President. Francis Polbe, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
And that's it for Basis Points. I'm Mai Rodriguez. We'll be back tomorrow for news on the financial markets and more. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.